Hello, welcome. You are listening to Dr. Sushma Singh. Today in Unit 18, Zimbabwe, we are going to start our lecture on topic Post-Independence Development Scenario and Overview. Thus, at independence, the government of Zimbabwe gave social policy priority as a matter of concern to correct the imbalances inherited from colonialism. As a result of that thrust, remarkable progress was scored, especially in the areas of education, health, water supply and sanitation, and in mitigation the effects of the recurrent drought. These successes were achieved because of the political and philosophical objectives of social justice and the need to dismantle the unequal discriminatory practices and structures inherited from the colonial past. The period 1980 to 1990s was characterized by significant progress in human resource and infrastructural development. Quality of life indices improved. Primary school enrollment rose by 83% and child immunization expanded by 61%. Infant mortality declined by 29% and life expectancy increased from 55 to 59 years. The commendable expansion of social sectors between 1980s and 1990s was, however, made within the context of pressing policy challenges. The social gains were not accompanied by economic growth and rising per capita income. During the period 1980 to 1989, the population at 3% per annum grew at a faster rate than gross domestic product at 2%. In the meantime, private sector investment fell as a share of GDP from 12% in 1985 to 8% in 1987. There was no foreign investment while declining primary commodity prices exacerbated a foreign exchange shortage. Various imbalances emerged in the financial, monetary, capital and labor markets. In 1990, the economy was threatened by deepening cycles of low investment, low growth, a growing budget deficit, rising unemployment, inflation, and general economic decline. Economic structural adjustment was introduced by the government of Zimbabwe in October 1990 as a five-sector program encompassing trade, monetary, fiscal, and investment policy reforms, deregulation, and the social dimensions of adjustment. The rationale for the economic structural adjustment as a key component of economic policy was the perceived need to develop a policy framework for long-term economic development to be reflected through an expansion of the economy, leading through the multiplier effect to increase employment and income, and thereby improving quality of standard of living of the people. In general, the government of Zimbabwe has been successful in redirecting public resources towards areas which are fundamental to long-term broad-based sustainable growth. Human development, infrastructure serving the poor, public sector which is reasonably efficient and seen to act in the interest of the majority. There clearly are possibilities for improving both the efficacy and even more pertinent question in the light of the rapidly changing boundaries between the public and private sectors and the efficiency of public sector resource use and of improving the monitoring and adjustment of public sector interventions. The efficacy question is a difficult one to address because it deals to a large extent with the issue of trade-off between equity and growth. While returns to investment in the poor often give high social rates of return, much of this is internalized by the poor through direct consumption or in the form of human capital accumulation, which will generate returns only many years later. It is therefore often difficult to measure the economic effects of many of these investments. Overall, however, Zimbabwe has made impressive strides in the direction of more equitable socio-economic growth and development. The fundamental investment pattern provides the country with a good balance between the various forms of social capital for long-term sustainable growth. Though some difficult choices lie ahead, particularly perhaps regarding possible changes to land assets, patterns option exist which can ensure the financial sustainability of a growth pattern which will further improve the distributional outcomes, allowing an ever-growing proportion of the population to participate in Zimbabwe's overall growth. Now let us conclude the unit. The economic system of Zimbabwe, a comparatively young nation, is one indicative of a transitional country, a country making a transition from dependency and underdevelopment to self-reliant industrialization, and that is the significance of getting to know more about Zimbabwean society and their development path. The mineral richness of Zimbabwe, the home of great civilizations, attracted British and they colonized the country in late 19th century. It remained as a British colony for almost 1 century. Zimbabwe economic attempts for social and human development were remarkable after it became independent in 1980. Its mineral export industry was the key to the developmental success of the country. The initial sections of this unit deliberates on the demographic, historical and socio-economic background of the country of Zimbabwe as well as its comparative position in the South African region. In the succeeding sections, the political, economic and social conditions of the post-independent Zimbabwe were discussed at length. We could see that the government of the independent Zimbabwe adopted a social policy priority approach to correct the imbalances inherited by the British colonialism. This facilitated remarkable progress in the social and human developmental fronts. There was a change in the policy thrust with the adoption of economic structural adjustment program following an economic crisis in the country in late 1980s. The unit also looks into the impact of the socio-economic structural adjustment policies, especially with regard to the state of social, human and sustainable development. The government initiatives such as the Social Development Fund and social dimensions of adjustment to tackle a broad range of development issues are also discussed in this unit. Finally, it gives an overview of the post-independent development scenario of the Zimbabwe. Here we want to close this lecture and we have come to the end of the unit. Thanks for listening.